Good morning, everybody. Today we launch Operation Restoring Justice.
London is known for its diversity, but recently there's been a noticeable shift. Far-right views are becoming more visible and some South Asian communities are feeling the effects. From social media to everyday interactions, racism is appearing more often, raising questions about how inclusive London really is. To understand this on a more personal level, I spoke to Razia Sultana, a henna artist with 17 years of experience. She shares how these changes have affected her life and work growing up in London and how culture ultimately creates a community. I wanted to include a huge representative of South Asian culture, which is henna. In a time where that identity is being challenged, showing it on screen becomes a quiet way of pushing back and reminding people that these cultures belong here.
Do you ever have that fear, especially now, with like the ED and stuff? Do you ever have that fear of leaving the house? And also,
No, I think
when you were living in Chelsea as well.
in Chelsea, well, I started wearing the hijab around 11 years old when I went to secondary school. It did. I think I think I'm quite thick-skinned. So there's a few things that I always had. Can I say this on camera? I've always had a I don't give a shit attitude. Because if you're sitting there giving a damn what everybody else is thinking, whether it's racism or whatever, fear element, that's always going to be there. Like, you know, now, like I said, the knife crime EDL, I am conscious. I don't think it would stop me from going out in that sense. Like, I know.
You shouldn't, because it's not
I
an
know
art
that
problem.
if I was out there and somebody said something, I'd know how to handle myself.
I know that you had those experiences when you were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's gotten better or worse now? And why do
I
you
feel
think that?
in the beginning, racism was quite apparent. We're talking about the 80s and 90s. It was obvious where we were living, even if it was in Chelsea. It was the racism was more apparent. You walk, like, even if my mum was walking down the street, you could see the looks. I think one time some drunk woman started hurling abuse at my mum because we were trying to get into our house. But then we had a gap in the 2000s, 20. I didn't feel anything, nor did my kids.
Like experience?
Yeah, we didn't experience anything. We didn't know whether you're working, working environment, nothing. You didn't feel that. But now, it's everywhere. They talk about integration, but really, it's not about us integrating into society. It's society actually accepting people for who they are. Because we talk about London being so diverse, but even though we are diverse, is people's mentality like diverse? Are they really like open to you having people from different backgrounds and cultures? So yeah, I feel like we're going backwards, and I think that is because of reform and Tommy Robinson and those narratives. I'm going out. Why am I going to stay at home?
Yeah, you shouldn't have to.
I'd be ignorant to say I'm not a bit fearful, but I can say, hands on heart, I just think, why not? Why am I not going out? Because we can't just be intimidated and be like, oh, we're just going to stay at home.
Yeah, I think
we're not going to do that. Yeah, and then we're going to create children, the next generation, who are going to be constantly looking over their shoulder to be like, this is their home. All 3 kids were born here. This is their home. They don't know anything better. I don't feel I should be bringing up my children to think, oh, you know what, you should be fearful going outside. You should be fearful about doing, like, getting a job or working your way up. Feel intimidated because of your heritage in any shape or form. This is where jobs like my one, like as a henna artist, when you go to events and you're meeting people from different backgrounds, I think that kind of brings a sense of unity.
Yeah.
And when I go to events and I'm doing henna on different people from different backgrounds and different ethnicities, you give an insight to people about your culture, your heritage and stuff. Because if it wasn't for my heritage, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like randomly thinking, oh, you know what, I'm going to pick up a henna cone and turn it into a business for 17 years. But it is because of my heritage I'm able to do that, and I'm able to go to different corporate events and even brides and do that is purely because of my heritage. And I think that does bring people together, because when we're having these festivals, whether it's for mental health, whether it's menopause events or anything like that, there are different people from different backgrounds, and the henna is bringing everyone quite close together, and we're having warm chats over food and drink and putting on a bit of henna.
That anger will grow. In fact, I think there is now, as a result of this, a genuine threat to public order. And all of it really poses one big fundamental question. Whose side are you on?